let's talk seashells. So as you can see, I have quite a bit of seashells that I have, collected over the years. Obviously none of these were actually alive. These were all dead. If you're ever at the beach and you pick up an animal and it's alive, don't take that home. Set it free. Basically what today's video is going to be, let me move this out of the way. It's going to be me talking about seashells, all the different kinds that I have here, and exploring what exactly the kinds of seashells that I have in all of these are. Alright, so here's a brief overview of what came out of this jar. We have these over here, these right here, we have this shell here, we have this one right over here, and then we have these oddballs over here. So we're going to talk about some of these now. We're going to start with these dark ones. So these dark ones are actually a kind of arc. Don't remember the species exactly, don't know the exact species, but these are a type of arc. And the way I know that is because of the shape of the shell. When you compare this to a normal shell like this one, you can clearly see that this one is kind of arced like a certain way, whereas this one is more just kind of rounded the whole way. But this one is not. To give you a more accurate representation, look at these shells right here versus this shell. If you can see, my shadow's in the way, but if you can see, this shell has a almost straight edge on this edge, whereas this one is rounded. That is the difference between an arc and one of these. However, they are both bivalves, and if you don't know what a bivalve is, an example of a bivalve would be a clam or a scallop. Now moving on to the next shell, we have this shell right here, which is kind of its own little thing. Now this is called, I believe, an egg cockleshell. It is a little bit thinner and more fragile than the arc shells. This belongs to a clam, a species of clam. An interesting fact about some of these, and just shells in general, this one, for example, has a little hole in it. This little hole was caused by, I believe it's either a worm or a snail that drills a little hole in it. I think it's a snail. Drills a little hole into the creature, and that is how it consumes the clam. So if you ever see a shell with some holes in it, that's what the hole is from. That clam died because something ate it. Moving on to the next shell, we have these two shells right here. I don't know if you can really see them. I'll give you guys a better view right here. Don't know if you can really see that one. It's a small one. And we also have this one, which is a little larger. Now, these are what are known as scallops. I'm sure you guys have either ate them or know of them. Scallops are similar to clams in the fact that they are bivalves. Now, I could be wrong, but whenever I see these little wing things on the sides of these clams / scallops, if you don't know what it is, I usually call it a scallop if I see those little protrusions on the side, whereas this clam does not have that. Next shell we're gonna dive into are these right here. Get a closer up view of that. Closer up view. there is quite a bit of these shells that were in this particular jar. You can see there is quite a bit of these shells, and these shells are called, I think the species is the cross-barred Venus, which is another cockleshell, similar to this one right here that we went over earlier. This one right here has a very weird kind of line structure on it, and that is, once again, I think from a worm or a snail. I think it is from a worm this time. Like you can see, there's a hole. Some of these might have holes. I don't think these have holes, but oh wait, yep, this one has a hole. Yep. On to the next shell, which is not fully complete, but this is a pretty interesting one. This is the only mollusk that is in this whole batch of shells that I'm going over with you guys. And this one is a spiral. I want to say the finished one would be a conch shell. I'm not sure though. It is very spiral, and if it was a conch shell, it would go much longer out this way. Now, this was once a snail. For all I know, it could have been one of the perpetrators of some of the holes on some of these animals. And that brings me to the final one for this batch, which is going to be this little fella right here. I'm sure you all have seen these before, but this is a sand dollar. A sand dollar is an echinoderm, therefore it is not a bivalve or a gastropod, which means that this is an entirely different animal from all of these. And the reason for that I'm saying that is because this is a very unique thing, because all of these, besides this one, are mollusks. This one is an echinoderm, similar to a sea urchin or a starfish. Echinoderms are very interesting animals. They have the little tube feet that they use to crawl around. Yes, sand dollars are alive, for those of you who do not know. And they are usually tanner in color. However, this one was dead, so it is white. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like a part 2 to this, where I open up another jar and look through some more shells for you guys, go ahead and comment down below. Make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already. And if you are still watching this and you are not yet subscribed to the channel, I want you to go ahead and click that subscribe button so you can join the team. That was kind of cringy, but we're gonna go with it. So thank you all for watching, and next time on All Things Marine.